Hey guys, hope you're having an awesome week. As you can see, I am not Randy. Pastor Randy and Renee are out of town this week. They're on their way back today. They'll be back with us tomorrow. We hope they've had an awesome vacation of just rest and relaxation. So today, since I get to do this week, we're going to talk about one of my favorite people in the Bible, and that is Job. And whether or not you know the story of Job, there is so much that we can learn from him. And so we're just going to talk about that for just a few minutes and dig into his story a little bit. So Job had 7 sons, 3 daughters. He had 7,000 sheep, 5,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 donkeys, and more servants than you could count. He was described as the greatest of all men in the East. And he was a man of God. He offered sacrifices to the Lord on behalf of himself and his family. So there's a little bit of background about him. We're going to start reading in his story in Job 1, verse 6. So it says, "Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. The Lord said to Satan, 'From where do you come?' Then Satan answered the Lord and said, 'From roaming about on the earth and walking around on it.' The Lord said to Satan, 'Have you considered my servant Job? For there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, fearing God and turning away from evil.'" Wouldn't you want God to describe you like that? Then Satan answered the Lord, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not made a hedge about him and his house and all that he has on every side? You've blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But put forth your hand now and touch all that he has. He will surely curse you to your face." So basically Satan is saying to God, like, yeah, Job loves you now and he calls on your name now, but he's never dealt with anything. He's never had to go through anything hard. You've given him such a great life. So let's see what he would do if you took all that away. And so the Lord said to Satan in verse 12, "Behold, all that he has is in your power. Only do not put forth your hand on him." So Satan departed from the presence of the Lord. So basically, the Lord said to Satan, okay, you do what you want to do. Just don't hurt it. Just don't kill him. And so Satan definitely, if you continue to read in Job, he had his way with Job. His family died. They all got sick. All of his livestock died. He lost everything. And he went ahead and had a major pity party for himself. And there are days when in leadership, that I feel like God gave Satan these permissions over my life as well. It just seems like there are some days when everything goes wrong. And of course, none of my situations have ever been as extreme as anything as that Job went through. But there are definitely times when I feel like, man, this is really hard. Like, I don't know what to do. And I just feel like God has just lifted his hand off of me. But and I really encourage you, if you haven't, to just dig into Job's story and read more about how he handled it. And there's a lot of things that we can learn about how to handle situations, both what to do and what not to do, from Job's story. But Satan thought that it would cause Job to curse God. He thought that if he took everything away from him, if he made him sick, if he took his family away, if he killed his livestock, if he took away his servants, that it would cause Job to curse God. But we know that it didn't faze Job in that way. That Job, he might have complained, and he sure did complain a lot. It caused him to have a major pity party. But God knew from the very beginning, from that conversation that he had with Satan, that Job would never curse him. Can that be said of us? If everything was stripped away from us, can that be said of us? So if you continue to read through the story of Job, he doesn't really take it very well. His friends come, his 3 friends, they have a long pity party. I'm sure none of us have ever done that, right? But in the end, I'm skipping all the way to the end. In the end, God convicts his heart And he shows him that his friends were not being helpful at all. That feeling sorry for yourself and pitying yourself and just wishing that things were different and asking God why, and surrounding yourself with people who are going to just get right there in the pit with you, that's not helpful. And it doesn't help us. And in the last chapter of Job, in Job 42, verse 2, he says to God, I know that you can do all things and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. And then God prompts Job to pray for his friends and say, God, I know that wasn't the way to handle this. And after he does that, everything that Job had was restored. In verse 12 of Job 42, it says, the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. He had multitudes of animals, so much more livestock than he ever had in the beginning. God gave him 7 more sons and 3 more daughters. It was said that his daughters were the fairest in the whole area. So what we can learn from this is that when we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, the enemy is going to come at you hard because he thinks that whenever something goes wrong, that we're going to stray away from the purpose that God has called us to. But we need to, as leaders, we need to stand strong and know that we are where we're supposed to be. We can learn a lot from Job about what to do and what not to do. He never cursed God for what he was facing, but he also surrounded himself with the wrong people. So we need to surround ourselves with people that aren't going to let us have a pity party. People that will encourage us and listen to us when we need to talk, but also not people that are just going to get right down in there with us and just let us have a pity party. And we need to be that for each other as well. As leaders of Summit, we need to make sure that we're encouraging each other. And when someone's going through a rough time, we need to make sure that we're encouraging them and helping them get out of that instead of helping them stay there. And so just to encourage you, just trust in God's purpose for your life and know that he's in control over the enemy's plan for evil, that the enemy is going to try to come against you every single time. But God is in control and he has not left you anywhere. And that if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, the enemy is going to come against you. But know, like Job said, I know you can do all things and that no purpose of yours can be thwarted. Let that be our prayer. I hope you guys have a great week.